Good morning, everybody. This week we're going to be talking about percent application. So we're going to be applying percentages to everyday situations, okay? So this is what this says up here, percent application. Percentages can be applied to many everyday situations. So anytime you buy something, a percentage is involved in your purchase, okay? And it says you must decode the various terms within the problem in order to understand how to solve it. Okay, so all of these right here, all of these terms tell you if you're adding money or taking money away from the original amount. Okay, so it says discuss each term, label each shopping bag below as an increase or decrease to the original. Okay, so you go into Marathon down here at the bottom of the hill, and you go in there and you buy a pop. You have to pay a tax on that pop. Okay? Now, when it's in the cooler, it might say, well, that L8's $1. Okay? But when you get up there to pay for it, you have to pay tax on it. So instead of just paying that dollar, you have to pay $1 plus a percentage, a tax percentage. Okay? And if I'm not mistaken, sales tax is 6%. Okay, so the tax, if you have to pay a tax, that is an increase. Okay, to the original amount. So you're going to have to pay $1 for that L8 plus that 6% sales tax. Okay, so anytime you're paying a tax. Later on in these problems, you'll be adding, you might have to find the tax and then add it back to the original. Okay? Now, the sales price. Okay? If we're talking about a sales price, that price, okay, is going to be cheaper, lower than the original. Okay? So if, let's say you go to, I guess just Walmart. Okay, you go into Walmart and you're looking to buy, I don't know, some kind of clothes, a shirt, I guess. All right, and it's got sales price, $10 a shirt. Well, at the original cost of that shirt would be more than what the sales price is, okay? So you're getting a percentage off when you're paying a sales price. So that would be a decrease from the original. Okay? Now the third one, amount off. So it basically tells you what? The amount you're taking off, okay? So if you're taking an amount off, well, that's a decrease as well. Okay. Now, these next two, they are the same. Okay. You can call it a tip or you can call it a gratuity. That's what that word is, gratuity. Okay. Now, when you're tipping or paying a gratuity, this usually takes place when you go to a sit-down restaurant. Okay. Now, you're not going to tip somebody at McDonald's, okay? You're not going to tip somebody at Taco Bell, Wendy's, Burger King, okay? But if you go to maybe Don Senor in Mount Sterling or in Cynthiana, or if you go, maybe you get to go to Lexington one day and you eat at maybe a Red Lobster, or I'm trying to think of another place. There's a place called Chewy's. That is a Mexican restaurant. Okay, a place where you go in and sit down and you have a waiter. This is where you would pay a tip or gratuity. Okay, now this tip and gratuity, that goes usually to the waiter or waitress that is actually serving you. Okay, so if you're paying a tip or gratuity, you're adding to the original. Okay, so if you're adding to the original, That's an increase, okay? Because you're going to pay your bill, and then you're going to say, well, I'm going to tip my waiter or waitress a percentage. So that is an increase, and your gratuity is the same way, an increase. Okay? Now, the last one is kind of like this third one, okay? Marked down, okay? You have markups too, but you have markdowns. All right? Now, marked down would be kind of like a sales price, okay? Maybe you go to Tractor Supply and maybe a certain kind of tool isn't selling very well, so they mark it down, okay, to see if people might buy it at a cheaper price, okay? This also goes into seasonal clothing, okay, because right now it's cold outside, okay? So if it's cold outside, maybe a store marks their shorts, marks them down, okay, to a cheaper price. So that is a decrease to the original amount. Okay. Now, the key to solving percent problems in real life is understanding what information you are given. Okay. And what you are solving for. Now, this goes not only for percent problems, but every problem, okay? You got to know what information you're given. You need to know what you're solving for. Okay, so just like we did the percent equations, we need to know what those variables are. Okay, now for this, we're going to be using our percent proportions. Okay, so we're treating it just like the proportions are, but we are using the percent proportion. So the percent goes in a certain place, the part goes in a certain place, and the whole goes into a certain place. Okay, so let's go over a couple examples before we get started with the assignment. All right, so number one, Savannah works as a sales rep and receives $23.80 for every $140 she sells. Okay, so then it asks, what is her rate of commission? Now, anytime you see that word rate, we're talking about a percent, okay? That's what we're talking about. Okay? And this word commission, that's just how much money she makes off of a sale. Okay? So let's look at the numbers that we do have. $23.80 and $140. She receives $23.80 for every $140 she sells. Now, we got to figure out, because we're going to use the percent proportion, okay, which is the part over the whole is equal to the percent over 100. So I just want to make sure you all write these down. Okay, so write those down, that way you just remember. All right, so if she's only getting $23.80 out of a certain amount, well, this 140 would be the total amount that she sells. Okay, so this is the total amount. Okay, and we know her commission, we know how much money she made. Okay, so if she made $23.80 out of 140, well, that's her part. Okay, and that's the commission. Now, what are we solving for? Well, I told you that this rate is what? That's percent. Okay, now, when we're talking about commission, this is her commission rate. Okay, which is just the percent. Okay, it'll be a percent. So if I know my part and I know my whole, okay, I can put it in to my percent proportion. So I can do 23 over 80, or 2380 over 140 is equal to n over 100. I will cross multiply. So I'm going to have 140n is equal to 230, well, 2,380. Okay. Now, once I get here, I solve a one-step equation. I want to get n by itself because I want to know what that percent is. So I got to divide each side by 140. Okay, because I want to get 140 away. So that leaves me with n is equal to 2,380 divided by 140. When I put that into my calculator, and I'm going to show you, remember that your top number, 2380 divided by 140. Okay, so numerator divided by your denominator. Just hit equals. Well, that's 17. Well, her rate of commission is 17%. Okay, if we have a whole number here in the percent proportion, we will. Okay, we don't have to multiply it by 100. We don't have to divide it by 100. Whatever n is out of the percent proportion, that's what our percent will be. Okay. Now, if we use the percent equation, remember it was in decimal form and we had to switch it back and forth. This one we do not. Okay, so sometimes this one might be easier just because we don't have to change our percent to a decimal. Okay, let's look at example number 2. The shoe department is offering a sale of 15% off all shoes. Okay, if Miss Jeffrey saved $12.30, how much were the shoes full price? Okay, so there's a couple things we need to look at. We already know we have what? We talked about this yesterday with some of the students in here. But percent is the easiest one to determine because why? What's got the percent with it? Okay, so n is equal to 15. Okay, and we got our part and we got our whole. Okay, so we also look at 15% off, right? So that means that 15% of the total was taken off the original amount. If she saved $12.30, well, she's saving part of the full price. And look, that tells you how much were these shoes full price. Well, full price would be the whole. I'm just going to put full and then the money sign, okay? Full price. So that means my $12.30 is my part. Okay? So the information given. I know she saved $12.30. So I know that's my part. Okay? And I know 15%. Okay, so that's my percent. What are we looking for? Well, we're looking for the cost of the shoes at full price. So I'm just going to write original amount for the shoes. Okay, so the original amount for the shoes would be the whole. Okay, so I'm going to plug my values in for my variables. So remember, I got P over W is equal to N over 100. So I'm going to have 12.30 over W, because I do not know it, is equal to, and in the percent proportion, I just get the percent. I don't have to convert it. So now I have 12.3 over W and 15 over 100. So I cross multiply. Okay. I'm going to have 15W, okay, is equal to 12.3 times 100 will give you 1,230. Okay. Now, I'm going to get W by itself, so I have to divide that number that's with the variable. Okay, so that leaves me with W is equal to 1,230 divided by 15. So again, we do the top number, 1230, divided by 15. Okay, and that gives me 82. So those shoes cost $82. Okay, now, if you have a question, you don't right now, but this is the full price. Okay, if you have a question and it gives you all of this, and instead of saying how much were the shoes full price, if it said how much were the shoes after the sale, or how much was the sale price, you would take this 82, the whole, you would subtract 1230 from it, and that gives you how much she paid for them. Okay, so this was the original, this is how much money she saved, so you would subtract those two, and that gives you how much she paid for the shoes now after 15% off. Okay, because it says off, you would subtract this amount from your total. Okay. Now this one we're going to talk about a tax, okay, and I'm going to show you how to do the tax. All right, Diego and his 3 cousins. So I want to talk about this. This says Diego and his 3 cousins. So how many total people are we talking about? Well, 3 cousins plus Diego, so 4 people altogether. Okay. We need to make sure when we're doing this that we see that. Went on a road trip. Okay, so they decided to go on some trip somewhere. They decided to add the cost of their hotel rooms throughout the trip and then split it between themselves. Use the chart below to determine the cost of their hotels plus, look, it's telling you, plus a 7% hotel tax. Then determine how much each cousin owes. Well, it tells you that they decided to add the cost. Okay, so here's the cost for 3 hotel rooms. So we're going to add all those together. Okay, we're going to add all these together, so that gives you $256. Okay, now we can use the percent proportion. Okay, this is the total cost. Okay, because this is all the rooms added up. We want to know the part. And I'm going to pause the video. We're getting short on time, so I'm going to work this out and then we'll talk about it. Sorry, we're running out of time there. Okay, so we know the total and we know the percent, 7%. So we put it in percent proportion and we can solve that. Okay, so the tax, this is the tax. This is how much tax they're going to have to pay, $17.92. Okay, so we want to know how much they're going to have to pay after they pay the total amount plus the tax. So I'm going to take my total, add my tax. Okay, that gives me this number, That's the total amount. Now, we have to divide that total amount by 4, okay, because there's 4 people, and we want to know how much each person's going to have to pay. So the total amount, or the total cost, divided by 4, gives me $68.48, okay? Now, we'll have a short assignment on this, where we're going to get into percent application, and then we'll probably have it again, practice it more Tuesday as well, okay? So make sure to take notes and write this down. That way you can go back and look at it if you need to.